But I'm also unique in the sense that when I find someone that I really vibe with in a group, I make sure to let them know that. When is the right time to increase the breadth of your social network? And when is it the right time to make sure that you give individuals the time that they need? Difficult to know, but perhaps you'll learn some answers after this. At least to my philosophy. And my name's Tarab. I make videos about emotional intelligence every day. My mission to inspire whoever's watching to make the most out of their life. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine on a walk. I get to go on weekly walks with him, older gentleman, and he was talking about how he's part of this church group, and the church has a system in place where people can get together in smaller groups out of the larger conglomeration and hopefully have deeper connections, ones of trust. And so he was saying that part of his resolution of recent times is to make sure that he spends that time to get to know people deeper, to listen a little bit longer, to care actually about what's going on and be very aware of what people's names are and the things that they're going through, so that he can be more interconnected in the community and hopefully find deeper interactions through that, which I found really cool because I'm someone that doesn't go to a religious gathering very often, and he's been going for like 20 years to church. And so we had this conversation because him and I can relate in some ways, in terms of vibe at the very least, but also in terms of what we'd wanted to get out of life, in a sense. And I said to him, is it more important to specialize, to make sure that the few people that we have that we really vibe with, we spend as much time as possible with them? Or is it important to increase the pool of people that we have so that we may find potentially more of those interactions? So I think the conclusion that both of us came to is that he said sufficient, necessary but not sufficient. Necessary but not sufficient. So meaning it is necessary to go out and show up, to go out and make sure that we spend the time in these groups. However, in order to get to our goal of finding deeper connections, it is not sufficient merely to attend. We must also get deeper into the people that we're conglomerating with. And so he has probably double, triple my age, something like that, two and a half times my age. And so I gave him my naive worldview experience of, in my experience, going to the group consistently actually does build the trust. But I'm also unique in the sense that when I find someone that I really vibe with in a group, I make sure to let them know that. And I make sure that if there is a circumstance, or if there's a possibility that we can spend time together outside of that conglomeration, that I at least extend the hand, bridge the gap, say, hey, come over, let's go to this thing. And many of us don't have that. Many people kind of approach it with a passivity to life. Have I gotten deep relationships out of the magic group that I go to every Friday night? Sure, maybe. In the moment they feel deep. I've been invited out to go and have dinner and whatnot. Though in retrospect I probably should have taken those invitations for the sake of depth. I said no for the sake of routine. And it's something that I've been considering a lot when it comes to building new relationships. Things that make us live longer, things that make us dwell in moments. Now, if your goal is to reach the stars and infinity and beyond, whatnot, it can feel like the requirement is always the routine to continue to move. And it's very important to establish those habits. However, an inkling inside of me, and also inside of this older gentleman, tells us that when we connect deeply with people, we shouldn't take that for granted. In fact, we should make sure to nurture that relationship. It's interesting, in the year or so that I've been making these videos, my vantage on this has shifted. Mainly because my geography has changed, and I know significantly less people where I am currently as I was when I started to Robify. but also because I've gotten significantly more into my routine than I ever have been. A process of building character and perhaps the vision that I want of my life. But an essential component of what I want out of my life is also the depth of communication, the depth of relationships. I know that that's essentially what contributes to being happier in life, to living longer. Try to give as much of yourself as you can. Hopefully increase your self-worth, increase your knowledge, your diligence, whatever, in order to give back. For those of us that are in situations where we don't have very many friends, where we don't have a deeper friend group necessarily to dwell with every week, I say to you that I'm with you. And I say to you that have faith that the people that are the easiest to make friends with are often going to be your best friends. And despite them being from different backgrounds, despite them not necessarily aligning with where you want to go in life, dwell for a second. If not for the sake of your soul, for the sake of learning a new perspective in humanity. Emotional intelligence, I believe, requires us to expand beyond our conception, to try to incorporate as much as we can. And though it's an essential component of being successful, oftentimes I believe it's lost in the pursuit of rigorous discipline. I suppose the ideal is to make the discipline connecting deeply. And it's something that I get to do significantly at work as a manager / leader, but a lot of us don't get that role at work. And I feel incredibly lucky that I have the opportunity to do that on a given day, to make someone else feel important, make my staff feel important, and make sure that I incorporate perhaps their long-term goals into the positions that I give them or the opportunities that I give them. So I hope you found this interesting. I hope this was useful to you in some capacity. Dig deep. It's worth it. And if you have a second, check out this video right here. It's when I talked about nurturing friendships for the first time on Terrorify. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Take care.